Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, but my son needs to watch Bluey. Entitled parents won't let me or my partner leave the family business. How do I get it through my parents' heads that I don't owe them my Amazon account password? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. But my son needs to watch Bluey. Last night when I went to sign in to open Netflix, I found that my TV had been signed out. Went to sign back in and could not do it. It had been about a year since I last signed in, so I assumed I just forgot my password and requested to reset it. When I went to my email, I saw an email from Netflix this morning saying my password had been successfully changed. Obviously red flag, so I went through all of our subscription services and updated passwords and changed my email password just in case. Got a call from my brother's ex-wife, LWTS, call her Kate, about an hour ago. They have been divorced over 4 years now, asking me why I changed my password. I didn't realize that she still had my account info, was a bit annoyed, and told her that someone had changed the password on me, and that I didn't feel comfortable giving out my account info, especially not to someone I was not in contact with. Jumping back a bit, my in-laws are staying at our home, and at night after everyone goes to bed, I guess we have 4 devices in our home running our Betflix account simultaneously. When she called, Kate explained how she tried to get onto our account on Christmas night, and was greeted with the message that there were too many users on our account currently, so she could not access it. She got the idea that it would be totally fine with me if she logged into our Netflix account and changed the password so that her and her new husband could watch their show. Said this calmly like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. I nearly lost it. I have no idea how anyone would think it would be okay to change someone else's password because you are too cheap to pay for it yourself. I told her I don't want to hear from her anymore, I am not giving her our info, and hung up. 15 minutes ago, she called my wife and asked for the Disney Plus password. I was lazy and had the same account info for each streaming service, and apparently she figured this out and was logged into several of our services. When I realized who my wife was talking to, and what about, I motioned for the phone. Kate was just whining that she at least needed to have access to Disney Plus so her son, who was 18 months old, could watch Bluey, and that he just needed it to be able to get ready for bed. I told her to get off, and hung up. Great way to ruin my mood for the night. Don't forget to log out all devices on those services so they can't log back in. Most browsers will remember tokens, rather than passwords, so they can keep getting in. Any semi-competent service invalidates session tokens when the account password is changed. Her Netflix, competent, jokes aside, I'd be really surprised if they didn't do that. Son is living with girlfriend. She gave Hulu login to a friend who was selling it to people. Son discovered it and called Hulu to wipe everyone on account. 5 minutes later, friend called the G/F saying they were getting calls from friends, sorta admitting they gave it out, and literally pissed off my son refused to give out the new password. This has been enlightening. I thought it was weird when my granddaughter's ex texted me a couple weeks ago asking for my Netflix info so he could watch a movie. I'm glad I said no, and I felt a little bad about it cause I liked him, but I don't feel bad anymore. He hits me up $4 once in a while, so yeah, he was probably looking to make a buck. Not today, bud. LOL. You should have told your ex this. I will give you use of my streaming services if you pay me $250 a month for them. My SIL did the same thing to me. I was so angry, I would not even give her the new login. I have a really good friend that I've known for years, and I had told him that I would let him use some of my logins because him and his wife do not have a lot of money and they were trying to save, etc. There were just a few specific things that we talked about that I would give them the logins for. His wife had the nerve to message me and ask me what other streaming services I had so she could get access to everything. Some people. I mean, I totally get why the kid needs Bluey. I'm an adult woman who needs it too, but get your own Disney Plus if you've been kicked off of someone else's. Like WTF. Plus, if you're desperate, Bluey's on YouTube. You can usually find streams or clips of it. One of my friends is on my streaming accounts, and we had the conversation about password sharing, not allowed unless expressed consent was asked and given. When Disney Plus launched, he told me he was watching a show at his job when a coworker asked him if he could have the password to watch a show. My friend told the guy that he didn't own the account, and that if he dared to share the password, the account owner, me, would know and no one would ever find his body. I've been sharing with him going on 6 years and never had an issue. Just had same issue. Kiddo moved to KY, shared my password. I work for a video provider, so most of mine are free, with the now ex's sister. Logged onto my HBO Max and my profiles had been changed to Jbird and Booger Whistle lol. Needless to say, I save everything, so 3 years later, he got a politely worded text that I changed the PSWD and now they're logged off everything lol. He was cool, did apologize and said he'd have a chat with the nephews lol. Your ex-SIL's knowledge of your family, combined with lazy account, password, management, means she will hack your accounts again. Your best bet is to get a good password manager, like that offered by Norton's, which can create and retain passwords complicated enough to outlast the sun. Also, if any of your services have limited access or 2FA, use them too. I'm going to make a new email and shift everything over to it just in case. Stay away from Norton unless you like being harassed to buy their entire suite of products. Bitwarden is free, tested, verified, open source and cross-platform nearly seamlessly. Entitled parents won't let me or my partner leave the family business. My husband and I moved to the country 8 years ago to revive a rundown farm that my grandfather used to live on. We went into this trying to turn a profit off the land with my parents. The farm is more of a money pit, unfortunately. Anyway, I had to get a full-time job, leaving my husband alone to run the entire farm. We bought our first home after a couple of years and made sure it was close enough to the farm so we could keep things running. This upset my parents. They kind of got over it, but not really. So after the pandemic, we all took a financial hit, and now my husband and I are expecting our first child. My husband had to get a full-time job on top of working the farm. My parents agreed that downsizing the farm over the summer was for the best, but now that me and my husband aren't available whenever they want us to be, they are getting more and more belligerent. They turned it around on us and said we are forcing them to sell the animals. For reference, they don't live near the farm, and when they visit they don't take care of anything. We told them we don't want any more financial support from the farm while we are sizing the business down. So my mother's solution to us being unavailable is leaving paychecks around or mailing them to my office or our house, and now when we say no to her requests because I have a doctor's appointment or we are working our 9-5s, she started saying, "I pay for your time, you better make it happen." Recently it has become obvious they don't want to downsize anything and have me and my husband work ourselves to death. We have stopped getting income from the farm and refuse to cash the check she is sending us to make it crystal clear that we are only taking care of the animals for their sake. Since they won't sell the animals that are in their name per their request, if we just leave the business the animals will suffer, and we would never let that happen. So now we are basically free labor on the property, and how we can get out of this situation without things getting extremely messy. Time to quit. Literally, quit the job. If your parents refuse to hire farm hands to care for the property and animals, a simple call to the local humane society will solve the problem. Better to put up an ad to some local sites that they're hiring, do the interviews and then present the parents with few suitable candidates. Tell them that since OP's leaving the business, they can now send the paycheck to their new employees. Or if they have the authority, then just hire someone and only tell the parents once it's done. And then tell the parents that if they fire that person/persons, then they're on their own. That way they leave the parents with a suitable option to maintain the proper care for the animals, and they can't blame them for any neglect. Yup, since everything is in their names, they'll be the ones to take the hit. We will be stopping this. Either cone every single day in work or sell the animals. We are no longer responsible for your choices. It really is that easy. Tell them you stopped cashing their checks a long time ago so you are not their employees. Tell them they have until a given date to deal with animals or you will report them to the Humane Society. And then they will lose any income from the sale and possibly face charges. You will gladly share the email saying you no longer work for them and a deadline given. You won't get out of this without a giant mess. Set them an ultimatum, and if they refuse, you will refuse. With a little note to animal control, of course. Oh, and document every little piece of communication. Put everything in a big folder. If she is sending you checks to make you work, she won't hesitate to sue you and use that as evidence. Thanks for the tip on documenting communication. It would be hard to sue if OP has the uncashed checks. So if I understand correctly, your parents own this farm, but you and your husband are doing all the work. You don't make enough money from working the farm to support yourselves, and your parents are trying to guilt you into doing the work anyway. Time to send in 2-week notices to your parents. They want the farm so badly, then they need to either work it themselves or find someone else to work it. Just because your mother says I pay for your time does not mean she owns you. You are not her slave, though she may disagree here. Give them notice that you plan to quit, let them hire someone to run the place, and go live your life. Force her hand. Tell her in 2 weeks, those animals are on their own, and since they own the farm and the animals, they are the ones who will be charged for neglecting them. They either sell the animals, sell the entire farm, or get someone else to take care of it. It will no longer be your problem. If she squawks too much, cut off contact with her. Believe me, she needs you much more than you need her. Mom, Dad, running the farm is not our dream. It is yours. If you want to keep running grandfather's farm, then you need to step up and work the farm. Things have changed for us. We have a baby on the way. We have tried it your way for several years, but we can't keep doing it the same way. You need to find new laborers. Perhaps you might want to hire a farm management company to work the land. There are other options besides us. No, you are allowing yourself to be free labor. You have a choice. Either only get PD to take care of the animals and have a contract written up, or stop doing anything and say here is our 2-week notice. But you do have a choice. There is no way to get out without getting messy. The only question is, do you want it messy now or even messier later? The longer you keep pushing this forward, the worse you will be, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. Get out before the baby comes. Do you have a share of the farm? Do you have any cousins you can sell that share to? Bonus points if you can sell it to cousins your parents don't particularly like. We quit. Keep your paychecks. If you want to keep the farm, move there and run it yourselves or hire a foreman to run it for you. How do I get it through my parents' heads that I don't owe them my Amazon account password? My parents have been asking this off and on since I've been home from college. I'm 19 and I pay for my own Amazon account. They say that because they let me use their Netflix account, they should have my Amazon account, but that's not how that works. I've since changed my Spotify account so I'm no longer on their plan and switched to a Hulu account, which I'm not telling them about. I regret telling them to begin with that I got Amazon Prime. I think the best way to get around this is to get your own Netflix account so they don't have that leg to stand on anymore. Fair. But that's just the thing they're choosing to hold over my head this time. If I get my own Netflix account, they'll say they pay for my food and college and housing, etc. Like them taking care of me and making sure I don't starve is contingent on me giving them the stuff I pay for. Or do a single account. My parents have it set up to where orders are delivered to a P.O box, but we each pay for our orders using our own cards. I do have my own account too, which I'm pretty we all have. I never give out my Amazon Prime password cause it can be used to buy stuff on my dime, so I will share all others, but not that one. Oh, I don't share my Apple one either. When my son first got Prime, I didn't understand how it worked. I am 70 years old. I didn't realize that it was tied to his bank account and thought they would just bill him. I ended up buying several movies on his account. He wasn't amused and I was embarrassed. I paid him back immediately. Same. The last time I gave my Prime password to relatives within months, I magically had all these subscriptions and rental charges that they had no idea how they got there, changed my password and haven't given it out again since. You can add an Amazon account to use your Prime, but it won't have access to your things. That just gives them the Prime bonus. They don't necessarily deserve it, just saying you can. Amazon has a family sharing thing where you can add a family member. They use their own email, password, and credit card. They just get the benefit of your annual subscription. They are not entitled to it, but if you are wanting to get them off your back faster, tell them you stopped paying for it because you were cutting costs. This is what I do. Just tell them you let it lapse and didn't renew. So they want to make purchases that you'd be paying for, and then you'd have to hope they pay you back. Totally the same thing as Netflix, which is just a monthly rate thing as far as I know. /s. If you are using their Netflix account, they have a point. But if you are not, just tell them no, lol. Or white lie and say you cancelled your Amazon account. The reason to be a bit weary here is you are still technically a dependent. You can create sub-accounts under yours that give them Prime benefits at no additional cost to you. It's really meant for parents to let kids share the Prime benefits and still have their own account, but it can work in reverse. Well, OP could very well be parentalized, many of us are, so it's probably appropriate. I have 2 ACCT with Amazon. One where I buy my stuff, and the other to watch movies. I give my ACCT to my family and they cannot order or buy anything from the other account. You can have +1 for Amazon Prime. That way they don't have access to anything of yours, including payment info. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.